Hi, everyone. Dr. Frankie Bashan here. And there's my little JJ behind me, keeping us company. Thank you all for showing up here today. I'm going to cover age gap relationships. This is one of my most favorite topics. I think that it's important for us to consider being in relationship with folks who are a little older or younger than us. And as long as we can relate to each other, in general, it's easier to relate to one another when we are familiar with each other's, like with pop culture. And usually it's about 13 years, 12, 13. Beyond that, it can be a little harder. Doesn't mean it's impossible. But I think sometimes, right, there are old souls. I'm certainly an old soul. I have, from a very young age, not found it very easy to vibe or connect with people my age. I was very mature, grew up, on my own in New York, not with much parenting. If any of you know much about me, and I've shared throughout the years, kind of raised myself in New York City. Both my parents were entrepreneurs, super busy, and I was pretty parentified. So by the time I was a young adult, I had kind of seen a ton and done a ton and really couldn't connect with people in their 20s. So I was dating 15 years even older than me, 10 to 15 years older. And I found that to be very really a beautiful thing. I learned a lot, and I was able to gain from their wisdom, their life experience. I talk a lot about attachment theory. I really got a chance to experience what it's like to be with somebody who's really grounded and securely attached. And that was really important for my own growth. And then there are folks that are older, right? And have really, they have youthful, young energy. Maybe I have a client right now that is a matchmaking client who's a physician, works with a lot of residents, manages residents, and has a very young, vibrant, youthful energy. And she has trouble vibing with people her age. So she tends to date younger. And that makes sense, right? Like that she's immersed in that generation and feels most comfortable vibing with people that are 15 years younger than her. So I think it's important for us to just be curious, consider it, stay open to possibilities, and not just make an assumption that it has to be somebody, for somebody to be a good fit and compatible for us, that they have to be around our age, because I don't actually think that's the case. So let's just jump into my topic. Age gap relationships. Every few years, we have another round of age gap discourse. We have discussions of when or if it's ever appropriate to date someone significantly older or younger than you. Some people are happily engaged in relationships with 20 plus years difference between partners. Others feel that age gaps of more than a few years indicate a dangerous and potentially harmful power imbalance in a relationship. So, what's the truth about age gap relationships, and how can they turn out stable and successful? Because, right, we want to be successful in relationship. We don't want to be investing vulnerability and our precious time that we don't have an infinite amount of, right? Like we want our heart and our mind and everything. We want to invest in somebody that's, where there's going to be a good outcome, right? Why age gap relationships spark debate. Power dynamics of any kind, differentials in class, race, privilege, or other lived experiences in a relationship can always be fraught. Age gap relationships are a major flashpoint for discussions about what ethical, safe relationships look like. And it's common for us to revisit the topic as a culture every few years. I feel like I'm revisiting it in my career as a coach, psychologist, and matchmaker daily. Age gap relationships tend to incite debate for a few reasons. First, age gap differences often imply a range of other differentials of power. Older people tend to have more wealth and financial stability, more social currency and standing in the community, own their own home or their properties, and so on. Of course, extreme age differences like 20 plus years, or age differences where one person is barely out of their teens, make this differential more extreme and more controversial, and at some point raise questions not just of proprietary, but of consent or harm. When is someone old enough to enter into a power differential knowingly and on their own terms? Of course, some of the social circumstances in which couples with an age gap might organically meet, an educational setting, a workplace, things like that, also bring their own charged power dynamics into play. Sometimes a gap in age isn't necessarily a major one, but dating your boss is inherently fraught. Attraction, maturity, and emotional compatibility. What's the appeal of age gap relationships with the people who end up in them? As with all relationships, a key component is initial and enduring attraction. For some people, age is a factor that plays heavily into how attractive they find someone. Think of why we have terms like silver fox. Some subcultures include specific relationship structures or dynamics that reflect an age gap of some kind, like bears dating twinks. For the younger partner, an older partner can be attractive because they're mature, established, and experienced. They may also have had time to develop better relationship skills than younger partners. For older partners, younger partners may be desirable because they're vibrant, energetic, and passionate. Younger partners may also come across as more open minded for people who find the conventional thinking of their generation around dating and relationships restrictive or outdated. There are as many options about what makes a couple a good match as there are people. For those who think that shared life experiences are the most important determinant of relationship success, age gap relationships may seem baffling. But for those who prioritize emotional stability and compatibility or having complementary ways of experiencing the world emotionally and psychologically, along with shared values, they may find a partner of a different generation more compatible than many peers of their own generation. When it's healthy versus when it's manipulative. Harmful patterns of toxicity, abuse, and control can happen in any relationship. And while there's no guarantee that they occur down power differentials, for instance, a woman certainly can be abusive to a male partner. Despite the objective existence of sexism, power differentials can create circumstances where abuse or manipulation can thrive. It's tempting to link the health or ethical standing of an age gap relationship to the difference in age between two people. For instance, someone who's 36 dating someone who's 30 may feel better to us than someone who's 57 dating someone who's 29. Instead, the hallmarks to look for to see whether a relationship is healthy and safe are more about consent, agency, and independence. Can each member of the couple make decisions about their own bodies, finances, career, and personal relationships? Can each member of the relationship safely say no and set boundaries? Is there a theme of social isolation from friends or family, or control of one partner's financial or medical issues? While we generally fear the scenario of an older partner abusing or manipulating a younger, more naive or powerless one, and this is, of course, a real pattern that occurs, it's also important to remember that elder abuse is also a real social phenomenon that causes incredible harm, and that abuse can occur in a range of different dynamics and scenarios. How different age gaps are perceived. Our standard social paradigm for a relationship with an age differential is an older man with a younger woman, largely because this is such a commonly occurring pattern in our day to day lives. Statistical analysis reveals that straight men generally date younger female partners. The statistical model revealed that the older a man gets, the more he prefers a larger age gap with his partner at the beginning of a new romantic relationship. Specifically, for every 5 years of age, the preferred age difference at the beginning of a new relationship between a man and his partner grew by about 1 additional year. This means that many of us are very inured into seeing, say, a 62-year-old male celebrity and his 32-year-old wife on the red carpet, or meeting our uncle and his new girlfriend half his age at a family reunion. However, other age gap dynamics can be more stigmatized. For example, older women dating younger men may draw unwelcome social attention or draw unsavory discussion about angling for an inheritance or indulging a fetish. Similarly, same sex age gap relationships may face a range of reactions within the queer community and without it. May December lesbian relationships are fairly common within the subculture, but may be viewed as inappropriate or true in more mainstream social contexts. Age gap relationships are also fairly common and normalized among gay men, with an entire range of niche identities centered around age or proximity to youth, but may be perceived as predatory or looked down upon in straight culture. What truly makes relationship work? At the end of the day, the common elements I see in the successful couples I work with don't necessarily have to do with similarity or shared life experience. In fact, difference can often be very refreshing and invigorating to a relationship. In my experience, compatibility has more to do with shared values and relationship expectations than anything else. And what makes a relationship succeed or fail has much more to do with the amount of work you and your partner are willing to put into pursuing attunement, connection, a close, secure relationship. Accepting each other's bids, infusing love, grace into the relationship. So that's what I have for you all today. Thanks so much for being here with me. And I will, of course, be here for you next week. I hope that you all show up and get a ton out of what I have to impart. And please comment, share, please subscribe if you haven't. And I look forward to seeing you next week. Kisses, hugs, be well, everyone.